So today I want to go over why we still feel broke despite making over 100K, which is quite the accomplishment. Like my picture? I do. Well, I have a few points I want to go over with you, and so we're going to take some time together. But let's start with this. Last year, I broke 100K. I made over 100K. And it's always been a dream for me to make over $100,000, to finally make six figures. My expectations was that I thought I would finally I would finally feel free, right? I would finally feel like totally stress free. Making 100K was an achievement. I've been working for the last 8 years, and that's literally how long it took, right? And I got there on a job. It's not like I was an influencer and started some crazy online business, right? I got there through a regular job. And I started 8 years ago at making like 25 to 30K. I don't remember exactly how much, but not a lot, right? So that was what I expected. But the reality, I was still stressed and I still felt like I didn't have enough. And so this was when I had healthy savings. And you have to get this. My wife and I have 18 months of expenses saved up in an emergency fund. And I still felt like I didn't have enough. Right? Now, most Americans, in fact, half of Americans making over 100K are living paycheck to paycheck. And so I can only imagine how, if I'm feeling this way, how would you feel if you were living paycheck to paycheck? And so I had to figure this out, right? Like I wasn't supposed to feel this way. I wasn't supposed to feel stressed. I wasn't supposed to feel like chained to my job. It was supposed to be this big achievement for me to celebrate and for me to be like, oh, I finally have enough, right? I can finally not care so much about money. But that obviously wasn't the case. And so the first question that popped into my mind was I still not doing well financially? Was there still a problem, right? And so the way I like to think about it is really from an economics perspective, because I'm an economics teacher. And one of the first things we learn in economics is the difference between wants and needs. And so let me test you to see if you know what a want is versus what a need is. Shelter. Is this a want or a need? Well, most would agree it's a need. What about a house? Is this a want or a need? Well, initially, when I thought about this to myself, I thought it was a need. Of course, we need a place to live in. Of course, we need a house. But turns out a house is a want. And the reason it's a want is because there are substitutes, right? What about a condo? And so there are substitutes. Shelter is a need. We can hardly substitute shelter. We wouldn't give shelter up for anything. A house, though, when push comes to shove and we have to give up the house, well, then we give up the house. We go buy a condo, or we go rent a condo, or we rent a basement. Doesn't matter. And so turns out needs are required for survival, and wants are just things we desire. But if we didn't have, it wouldn't break us, right? If we didn't have food, we would literally die, right? But if we couldn't eat apples for the rest of our lives, well, we can eat other fruits. And so I started looking at my own life and I was like, am I feeling stressed because I have unfulfilled wants? Or am I feeling stressed because I have unfulfilled needs? Well, it turns out I have a place to live. I'm able to put food on the table. I even have some savings. So it turns out I'm feeling stressed because I have unfulfilled wants. And in economics, this is normal, right? Because the fundamental problem we solve in economics is that people have unlimited wants. Like you can imagine, no matter how much money you make, you will always feel like it's not enough. That's the default feeling. And so if we have unlimited wants and we have limited money or resources, then what does these two make us feel? Well, scarcity. We feel like we're in a state of scarcity. And so what happens when we feel like we're in a state of scarcity? We feel like we don't have enough. We are not stress free. So this is the problem we're dealing with. And so in order for me to really solve this problem, I kind of had to dial this back. Instead of living stressed because I feel like I have unfulfilled wants, I should then live contently because I have fulfilled needs. And so now I'm thinking, what's the least amount of money, right? What is the dollar amount I need per month to live normally? And it turns out where I am, I can live normally on an income of around 5,000 a month, $5,000. And I was making around 8,000 a month. So this was my income. And so if I can live comfortably, well, normally, not comfortably, around 5,000 a month, and I'm making 8,000 a month, then logically I shouldn't feel stressed, right? And so that was kind of my first realization is the lifestyle that I desired, the lifestyle where I had unfulfilled wants, is not a $5,000 a month lifestyle. It's more like a random number, right? It's more like a 10 to 20K a month lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with wanting a 10 to 20K a month lifestyle. It's just that if you think this is the lifestyle that you should live, but you're only making 8K, of course you're going to feel stressed. But if we approach from a different angle and we say we're making 8K, but we can live perfectly fine on 5K, then this creates a state of abundance, right? If we feel abundant. And we can, while in this state of abundance, pursue a 10 to 20K lifestyle. In which case, you will make a very different set of decisions. Because making decisions when you feel like you don't have enough versus making financial decisions when you feel like you have more than enough will yield very different results. So that was kind of the first point that I thought about. Was I doing well financially? Well, from a wants versus needs perspective, I'm definitely doing well financially because I have enough money to provide for everything I need. And chances are, if you're making over 100K a year, you have enough money to provide for everything you need. Maybe you don't own a home yet, but you definitely can afford rent, right? You definitely can afford to put food on the table. Maybe not from Whole Foods, but definitely from a local supermarket, right? And so the second point that I want to go over, like if it's not wants and needs, then what is it? What other reasons might cause me to still feel like I'm not doing well financially? And the second point that I came across is deprivation. And so we feel deprivation when we feel like we should be here, right? But we're like here. And so like this gap is the deprivation gap. And the gap increases as our responsibilities and obligations grow. And so what do I mean by, well, responsibilities? Well, what if we start a family? Getting married, right? Like that has expenses. What if we have a kid? Huge expenses. What if we have aging parents? We have to kind of help take care of them, right? What if we want education, right? Like maybe your partner wants to go back to school, right? And you're the only one earning money, right? And so there are all these reasons and more. And what each of these reasons will do is it will make us more deprived. So we will be here, and our deprivation gap will increase. And when we have a large deprivation gap, it's very easy for us to feel stressed, right? Feel like we're not doing well financially. And so I obviously had this over the past 2-3 years. I started a family. I have a kid. My parents are in their 70s, and I just finished my master's degree. So I had all of this. So I was mega deprived. But you know what else was true? I've never felt closer to success. It's kind of a dichotomy, and maybe I'm the only one that feels this, and if I am, I want to share this with you, but I've never felt closer to success. And the reason is because all of this deprivation motivated me to take action. I had always thought that starting a family and having a kid would bring me further away from financial freedom, but the truth is, I've never been closer. It's crazy because while all of this was happening, I had to reflect on what else was also happening. What else was also happening? I bought my first property, right? I monetized this YouTube channel. What else did I do? I started an online business. Now, I wouldn't say that any of this stuff I was massively successful at, but it's an accomplishment. And it's stuff I would not have done if I didn't feel deprived. If I felt like life was going well and I definitely had enough, then I would have had no business trying to close my first rental property or start a YouTube channel and actually get it monetized or try starting an online business. Right? It was all because I felt this sense of deprivation. So by realizing that I can already meet my needs, by realizing that I can use deprivation as activation energy to help me take action towards my goals, I should feel like I'm doing well financially, right? But I'm still not, right? And so maybe the third reason was, well, what about money goals? Am I setting money goals? And so what money goals do we set? There are a few money goals, metrics that I kind of like to track. And so the first thing is our retirement nest egg. And this is how much money do you need to retire and live a normal life. And once you figure out this number, you figure out monthly investing amount. How much money do you put in every single month to invest so you can reach your nest egg eventually? And then given I have these money goals, what is my maximum daily spend? And am I within my maximum daily spend? Now, there are other metrics that we can look at, but these two, well, three are really the main ones. And so do I know my retirement nest egg? Well, I learned at that time that I was thinking 2.5 million, right? This was the number that was always in my mind. It's like if I only had 2.5 million, I would have enough to live normally. And then that number went to 3 million. And then that number went to 5 million. And so no wonder I'm making more and more money, but my goal, my nest egg goal, is getting bigger and bigger. And so I'm literally getting further and further away from my goal. And so my monthly investing amount ended up being not enough. And so I really had to evaluate and be like, do I need 3 million? Do I need 5 million? Or is 2.5 million enough? And I realized that with my monthly investing amount, if I save this amount continuously, we assume like a 7 to 8% return on the S&P 500, like stock market index funds, I will definitely end up with 5 million. No doubt about it. And so as long as I keep my average daily spend within a certain amount, then I'm on track. I'm on track. It means if I know my money goals, if I know a few important metrics, and if I'm able to meet these metrics regularly, then I should not feel like I have not enough, like I'm stressed. And so we went over wants and needs, deprivation, money goals. The fourth reason that I identified why I still felt stressed was the Joneses. And a lot of people like to summarize the Joneses as just lifestyle inflation. But it's not like my lifestyle became largely inflated, right? It's not like I'm all of a sudden wearing like Gucci Prada clothing or anything. And so there's an other effect that the Joneses have. It's called good old envy. And it happens. I think we all have people we aspire to be like. I mean, this is different, right? Upon different phases in life. Right now, I aspire to build a coaching business, right? That is thriving. And maybe you are different. You aspire to be stress free and have no debt, right? Maybe you look at some of your friends around you that don't have debt. Maybe their parents paid for everything, and you're like, man, I'm envious. Or maybe you look at some guy on the internet and it seems like they've got like a growing stock portfolio while you're still trying to save an emergency fund, and you're like, man, I wish I was that guy, right? And so like, even though you're making over 100K, because you're not at the spot where someone you aspire to be like is, you still feel like you don't have enough. You still feel stressed. You still feel anxious. But that in itself is an issue, because we will always have people we aspire to be like. And it doesn't matter that they are at where we are not. It only matters that we are walking forward. And for me, in this phase right now, what does walking forward mean for me? Well, it means I'm making helpful content, right? Now, there are other things, but like, if I'm making helpful content, then I am walking forward. And if I am walking forward, then there is no reason for me to be stressed or afraid or living in fear or anxious. Now, you have to find what is your walking forward. Like, what does it look like for you to walk forward? And it might look like just, I don't know, saving, right, an extra $100 a month, or 1,000, or 10. It does not matter, right? It might be building an emergency fund. It might be reconciliation, right? Like talking to your spouse and loved one about your money goals, financial infidelity, right? Anything like that. I don't know. You have to identify, who do you aspire to be like, and what problems have they solved for themselves, and what does solving those same problems look like for you, and what's the next step forward, and then actually take the step. And so being stressed about money and feeling like broke and asking why, even though I'm making over 100K, and feeling stressed and not having enough, maybe all of that, maybe it's okay. Maybe it is. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine, right? And so maybe it's fine because it tells me what I should do next. Maybe that's why. So what now? Well, I think there are two situations you could be in. And the first situation is you're living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you're in debt. Maybe you have no savings. And overall, you're like, I feel broke. And it's because I am, right? I hate to break it to you, but if you're making 100K plus per year, even 150, even $250,000 a year, and you're still living paycheck to paycheck, you still have consumer debt, you don't have savings, well then, I hate to break it to you, you are broke. In which case, you need a system for debt reduction and a system for optimized spending. And so this is the first situation. The second situation is you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you even save, right? So maybe you save money. But the problem is, right, you don't know how to grow it. And so for you, you feel broke, but the reason is because you want money that you don't have, right? You want to make a ton of money. You want to have a ton of money. You already have more than enough right now, but you still feel like you need more. You want more, even though you're not living paycheck to paycheck. And so for you, this was really this was me a few years ago. And I bought into all sorts of get rich quick scams because of this. And so what you think you need is a money making vehicle. Here's what you think you need. You think you need the latest business model, the latest trading strategy to make money with your money, right? Make money in your sleep, right? That's what every rich person says, right? Multiple streams of income, make money in your sleep, start a business, all that stuff. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting a business. There's nothing wrong with investing. The problem is rushed thinking, right? Short term thinking leads to bad long term outcomes. There have been more than one story of people making tens of thousands of dollars day trading and then just losing it all. It just happens, right? Because the same behavior that got you the money is the same behavior that will lose you the money, literally. You don't need this. What do you actually need? You need a reliable investment plan that works. That's all you need. You just need something that works. You need something that will get you to your goal if you just stick with it. That's it, right? And not only that, if you're anything like me, you're prone to making bad behavioral decisions because of bias and lack of information. So you need this plan to be automated. Forget about it. And then wake up one day and know that you'll be financially free. That's literally it. Now, both situations, right? Whether you need a system for debt reduction, optimize spending, or you just need an investment plan that works, most people at this point are like, I need a financial planner. To which I say, no, you do not need a financial planner. Because financial planners, while they can be good, are expensive over time, especially the ones that charge a percentage of your net worth and try to sell you products. And so over the years, because I have a degree in finance and accounting, I talk to my CPA friends and my financial planner friends, and I've developed a system that I call the Financial Freedom Self Planner. Also that I never need a financial planner, right? Now, the link to this system, I made a video on it, is in the description. So just go watch that if you're curious. You'll also learn a little bit about my story and where I came from. But really, there are like 4 pillars. And I won't go into it right now, but if you're interested in the 4 pillars of Financial Freedom Self Planner and how you can implement it for yourself, just watch the video in the description. Bye.